At the beginning of this film we will be treated to a beautiful beach view. Then there is a large villa overlooking the beach. Elsewhere there is a promotional photo of the villa, apparently being watched by Charlie and Mina, who seem to be planning their vacation to the villa. In this film, Charlie and Mina are told as co-workers who also happen to be attracted to each other. Although the man is known to already have a wife. Not long after, the two of them who had shown such intimate body language suddenly had to return to normal behavior, because it turned out that George, Mina's boyfriend, had arrived. As well as the younger brother of Charlie. The conversation between them did not last long, because then Mina was escorted by George to go home. Charlie seems not only attracted to Mina's physique, but also greatly admires the character of the woman. He even went so far as to express his assessment of his coworker, who was not suitable to be George's partner. Moreover, his younger brother often made a mess, from going on strike to college to being imprisoned for molesting people. Unlike his wife, the woman who is known as Michelle, is actually more on the side of George, to keep in touch with Mina. Moreover, his sister-in-law also began to show a change in attitude for the better, since dating this woman. The next day arrived, and it was time for Charlie and Michelle to go on their vacation. Not to forget, the husband and wife couple also invited George and Mina to spend their weekend at the villa, which they had seen before. Arriving at the location of the villa, the arrival of Charlie and the others was immediately warmly welcomed by Taylor, who became the manager of the villa. However, unlike Mina, she, who is of Middle Eastern descent, was treated badly, because the man who guarded the villa had quipped with a bit of racism. This also triggered Mina's annoyance, especially since she herself had tried to book the villa several times, but was refused for no apparent reason. Meanwhile, Charlie, who he called a white man, was immediately well received when he booked the villa. Being searched for by Mina's question, Taylor seemed speechless. Even he could only argue if all orders were directly connected to the computer system, without his or anyone else's involvement. Taylor then left the location while venting his frustration by pounding his car. While the others were relaxing in the villa, George, who wanted to immediately enjoy the scenery around him, finally decided to go out with his dog. But just leaving the villa area, George's attention suddenly fell on one of the basement rooms in that place. Moreover, in that place there is also a room that seems secret, with a door with a special code. He briefly tried to open it, but then his attention was distracted by Mina, who came up to him and invited George for a walk by the beach. On the beach, Mina, who had taken her for a walk, tended to choose to be with Charlie, rather than her own boyfriend. This was also what George highlighted, and revealed it to Michelle. But there was no suspicion at all in the man. George even repeatedly praised Mina. He got Michael, saying that his girlfriend was a smart and talented person. It also made him start to change his attitude for the better. But unfortunately, he himself doesn't seem to be able to be the best for his girlfriend. Hearing this confession, Michael then encouraged George to keep trying to be the best for Mina. That night the excitement was really felt inside the villa, because it turned out that Michelle had secretly prepared heroin as a provision for going through the holidays there. But apparently, he didn't want to consume the illicit goods that night, with the excuse that he didn't want to be late, because the next morning they would all be climbing. As a result, the goods were only enjoyed by Charlie, Mina and George that night. After being satisfied through the festivities that night, Yosh fell asleep. Likewise with Michelle, who also fell asleep because she was very tired. Unlike Mina and Charlie, both of them took advantage of the moment by bathing together. Not only that, those who have been under the influence of illicit goods, and have mutual feelings for each other, then vent it by making love in the bathroom. The next day, the tiredness that Charlie and Mina got finally made them decide to stay at the villa, by letting Jorge and Michelle continue their climbing plan. In climbing, Michelle's footsteps had stopped, because she felt there was something strange with the surrounding environment. But then they resumed their ascent, after George made sure all was well. On the other hand, unwittingly appears a mysterious person, who turns out to be watching their journey from behind the bushes. At the same time, Mina, who was taking a shower, was shocked by the discovery of a small camera in the shower. Suddenly she and Charlie immediately checked the other bathroom, which was also a small camera tucked in it. Realizing their crazy actions last night have been recorded and could threaten the rift of their relationship with their respective partners. Charlie and Mina, who initially wanted to report the findings to the police, finally gave up their intention. Not long after, Justin and Michelle returned to the villa, which made Charlie and Mina have to pretend to each other as if the conditions there were still fine. Inside the villa, this activity was very boring for Michel. Moreover, he himself had not had time to consume the forbidden goods he brought. The woman then invited the others to return to taste the illicit goods. However, the invitation was simply ignored, because the others seemed more interested in enjoying their last night relaxing in the villa. Not long after, the silence there changed. After Yosh realized his dog had just disappeared. A search was also carried out, including contacting Taylor to help them find the dog, as well as complaining about the problems in the villa bathtub. Unlike the others, who are currently busy because of the disappearance of George's dog, Michel seems to be enjoying himself with illegal goods. Not long after, Taylor arrived at the villa and immediately fixed the problem in the bathtub. Interestingly, Mina, who was still annoyed with Taylor's treatment yesterday, was added to by the disappearance of her dog. Suddenly immediately accused the man who guards the villa as the culprit. Not only that, Mina also accused Taylor of being the culprit who had installed a small camera in the bathroom. The woman even threatened to report it to the police if the footage from the camera was shared by the man. Hearing this, Taylor, who felt that he had never done anything strange like what Mina had accused him of, suddenly bullied the woman by challenging her to call the police station. Mina, who was basically afraid of revealing her special relationship with Charlie, tried to reach Taylor's cell phone, which the man would then use to contact the police. Unfortunately, the action of grabbing each other was actually caught by George, which made him immediately furious because he found her boyfriend is having an argument with a man. As a result, George beat the man who guarded the villa, making him lay helpless. While calming George, who is still provoked by emotions, Mina then revealed what had happened there, especially regarding her findings on the hidden camera in the bathroom. Surprisingly, everything that happened in the villa turned out to be being observed by a mysterious figure, who was seen looking at the situation in the villa through his cell phone. Unfortunately for Taylor, who was still unconscious in the bathroom, was actually approached by a mysterious figure who immediately covered his nose and mouth. Until then, the man who guarded the villa died instantly. The action of the unknown murder suddenly made George the only one suspected of being Taylor's killer. In the midst of these chaotic conditions, Charlie, who was still worried that his affair with Mina was discovered, again refused to contact the police. and argued that he didn't want to see George in prison. The man then took the initiative to help his sister by throwing the egg corpse on the cliff, and making it look as if she died in an accident. At the edge of the cliff, Charlie, Yosh and Mina started their action, by dumping the egg corpses there. Meanwhile, Michael, who was in the villa alone, was distracted by the sound of a faucet, which suddenly sounded. He was curious to finally find the source of the sound. Instead of coming from the bathroom faucet, the sound came from the TV instead, which at that time was broadcasting the lecherous acts of Charlie and Mina. Back to Charlie. He who had finished taking care of Taylor's corpse was now even panicked because he found Michael, who had left the villa, a woman who was stricken with anger and irritation because of her husband's infidelity, driving her car at high speed. Eventually, the car swerved and hit a tree. In that chaotic condition, Michael actually tried to send a message to Charlie to ask for help. But it was unfortunate for him because not long after, suddenly a mysterious figure appeared, who immediately beat him to death. At the villa, Charlie, who received a message from Michelle, immediately rushed to his wife to give him help. But unlucky for Charlie, he who found Michael, who was dead, instead had to suffer the same fate as his wife. Because suddenly a mysterious figure came and stabbed him with a hammer. At the same time, George and Mina, who were curious about the secret door, seemed to be trying to open it. However, the door that was locked using a secret code was clearly not easy for them to open. As a result, George broke it by force, and managed to get into it. Surprisingly, the room that seemed very secretive turned out to only contain a few items like a warehouse. It's not like their previous image that it was a server room, or a monitor room. Feeling not getting any clues, Mina then returned to her room. But soon George's feelings were confused. After getting a voice message from Charlie, who was discussing something with Mina, as if to get a direct answer from his girlfriend, George immediately approached Mina asking for clarification on the voice message. How unfortunate is George's fate. He, who is still confused by the voice message, has now received a new message in the form of a video, which shows Charlie and Mina's lecherous actions in the bathroom the other day. Suddenly full of anger, George tried to find Charlie's whereabouts in the villa. But it was not the figure of his brother that he found, but a mysterious figure that he actually met in one of the rooms. A hammer blow landed on George's head, which killed him instantly. Hearing the commotion, Mina then tried to approach George. But apparently he only found his girlfriend's body that had been lying on the floor. Unfortunately again, Mina, who was about to help George, instead saw the appearance of a masked figure, who suddenly frightened him and chose to run away to save himself. During the chase, Mina grabbed a screwdriver and stabbed it into the masked figure. But it seems the attack did not hurt the figure at all. Until in the end the escape ended in death, after interest plunged into a very deep cliff. In the villa area, the mysterious figure was seen tidying up some of the furniture that was there, including taking some taps and cameras. The mysterious figure also took off his mask, and mingled with George's dog, which turned out to be so docile to him. At the end of the film, the mysterious man is now seen visiting a house and intending to rent it. He was also stopped from installing some of his wiretapping devices, as if to confirm that the murder he had committed on Charlie's family earlier, he had planned very carefully. In fact, his actions were not only done to one family, but also to a number of other families, as was shown by CCTV cameras in several different houses. At the end of the film, the mysterious man appears who will return to his actions by sneaking into a room. And the mysterious psychopath has plenty of videos of his victims, ready to be uploaded to the dark web.